Hello, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us for this installment of Tech Tips from CoopSys. I'm Scott Spatz, President of Cooperative Systems. In this episode, we're going to be bringing you 10 simple proactive tactics to kind of up your cybersecurity game, regardless of whether you're at work, at home, or on the go. And this is especially relevant this month because, as you may or may not know, October is actually Cybersecurity Awareness Month. We know that people in the U.S. generally spend as much as 12 hours a day in front of their screens, so the hope is that these resources will certainly help any of us and all of us become more resilient. So the National Cybersecurity Alliance partners with the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency every year, pull together creative resources to educate all of us on how to stay more safe and more secure online. We're actually authorized as what they call a cybersecurity champion, which means that we've pledged to help amplify the core messaging of keeping the internet safe for everyone. So that is what drove us to come up with the 10 tips for cybersecurity and cyber safety today. Even while cybersecurity or cyber criminals are becoming more and more sophisticated in their approaches, these are some tried and true methods that can really help you protect your assets and your identity. So I'd like to start by talking about some misconceptions surrounding this topic specific to businesses, especially to small and medium-sized businesses. First and foremost, people seem to think that their information isn't of value. People will have a really hard time understanding why anyone would want to hack their system generally. Most online users don't fully realize the potential value of just an email account, certainly until the account is compromised. We actually wrote a blog post a year or two ago addressing this. We put the link here on this slide. And we did this because here's the thing. Your accounts are portals basically for accounts that you care about, information you care about, and even the identities of the other people you care about. Information is harvested by cyber criminals, and from there they can take so many different routes to exploit and violate things. Think about how easy it is to reset a password to a site you use for your email, or when you use your email for your username. Think about the type of information a bad actor could gather just from sifting through your correspondences in your email box. Or how absolutely crippling it would be for them to take over your business computer or accounts and propagate that attack to other accounts and other machines on your network. So let's take a look at a second big misconception. And this statement is not necessarily false. It's just that technology is only one component of protecting yourself and your business. And although technology can play a role in helping to defend from cyber threats, the approach really needs to be a far more comprehensive one. A solid cybersecurity strategy, whether we're talking for your business or just personal, it's a comprehensive approach. So one thing is having training about what to look for and how to be vigilant. Next is having policies or procedures in place for what is appropriate and expected versus things like danger zones, and then taking the technologies in place to add the defensive lines. In terms of protecting a business, having your employees educated on their responsibility for protecting your business information and accounts and training them on what sorts of red flags to look for, that's the key thing here, is the training and awareness. And a third misconception that we should talk about is all the attacks that will be outside your organization. Unfortunately, there are plenty of potential scenarios that can come from within your business. But we're not implying that your team is out to get you and you certainly can't trust them. Yes, there are potentially malicious insiders who could steal information or expose your data or systems and things like that, but many internal breaches in businesses actually happen because of inadvertent human error scenarios, such as when people leave doors open for the bad guys and things like that. I hate to use a big business example, but that is obvious here because this happens to businesses of every size and shape, thousands of employees or 10 employees, it doesn't matter. But let's look at the Target breach that happened back in 2013 because that's a great example here. In this example, someone at a company called Fazio Mechanical, one of Target's vendor partners, mistakenly opened an infected email, and once the hackers got into Fazio Mechanical's system, they were able to easily circumvent internal controls and thereby infect the Target Corporation. Target had outdated software that was missing some patching, which became a security hole for the hackers to exploit. Also, a huge factor in their ability to hack Target was the fact that employees had weak passwords and login credentials stored in places that were easily accessible to those hackers. Nobody was doing any of that on purpose and to allow for malicious activity. They just happened to leave the doors open for it to happen. a lot of the mistakes involved here were on the part of the people and their decision making, not necessarily the technology itself. The big message is that cybersecurity is everyone's responsibility. Each of us plays a part in protecting not only ourselves, but to our fellow online community. So here are some of the ways you can help do that. So the number one thing, first obvious step, stop saying it won't happen to me. Like we talked about already. As we discussed, you are an attractive target and your data is valuable as much as you think it may not be. And number two, think before you click. Just slow down. We're all quick to move about and get through things quickly, but you got to slow down at times. And you should only open files, pages, and emails from trusted sources. If you don't know how to identify trusted sources, there are a ton of resources out there to help you do that. But the first thing to ask is, do I know the person or business who sent this to me? And there are other ways to go about this tip, such as looking for clues that a website is safe. If the URL on the website starts with HTTPS instead of HTTP, it means that there's a secure certificate in place, and it's more likely to protect your data as it passes information from the browser on your computer to the website server. Number three, the next thing is when in doubt, throw it out. To put it simply, if a message or email seems suspicious, go to the source directly to make sure it's legit. That doesn't mean reply to the message, because that action can actually be dangerous. It might mean, instead of clicking on the email to open it, asking the sender another way that they sent this suspicious looking thing. If you can help do it, don't open it. If it's suspected spam, mark it as that, junk or spam. By doing that, you're also helping your mail service to identify future potential spam or junk mail and keep them out of your way in the future. Next thing is to defend your computer. As with one of the components of the target breach story, keeping software and tools up to date can be the difference between a successful threat and a protected system. You should only download apps and software from reputable publishers, though. Certainly pay attention to permission requests, and as with other things, if it's an unexpected message or one you weren't expecting, proceed with caution. Be wary of flash drives and other external devices also, as those can carry malware and viruses and other things that can creep their way into your systems once you plug them in. Next thing is to basically surf safely. Again, always use that HTTPS item for making sure that your connection to websites is safe. And go to websites that check out, if you will, in terms of their publisher or the source. And regularly check privacy settings across your browsers and your tools. Next thing, number 6, care about your connection. You should avoid connections that don't have any authentication steps. When you're connected via public Wi-Fi or service, tell your computer if it asks so it knows to especially be vigilant. And do not access sensitive accounts and data over those public connections. One of the things you can do on this front is to turn off your Wi-Fi and your Bluetooth whenever you're not using it, which means your computer or your device doesn't accidentally connect to unsecured networks that you're not aware of. Next thing is to make sure your passwords are keeping your things safe. Protect your devices and your accounts with strong passwords. Using 8 or more characters, mixing it with upper and lower case, using numbers, symbols, etc. And whatever you do, don't use the same password for all your accounts. Next thing is to watch your digital presence. Be thoughtful about sharing data and identifying information online, and this is certainly most relevant in social media. And it's really important to pay attention to what you're sharing on social media and those other sites about, who you are, what you're doing, where someone could take that information and use it against you. Next thing is to back up what you have and what is important to you. So make sure you're saving your work and that it's backed up. Basically, if you don't have some sort of backup or cloud service attached storage, you need to have something like that to back up your data. And to make sure you have a copy if your machine gets hacked or crashes, or you get a ransomware or something where you can recover from if the worst happens. You certainly want to make sure it's not stored on that same local computer as well, because if you do get infected with some sort of infection or ransomware, as I mentioned, it's going to affect your whole entire local computer. So having it on another device is always important. And lastly, number 10, don't just walk away. even though these tips are primarily online focused, physical security is also relevant here. Being mindful about the physical security of devices is important as the technical security. So when you get up away from your computer, your desk, lock your screen and lock your computer to make sure that somebody doesn't walk up and have unauthorized access to all your stuff. A lot of these items might seem obvious, but taking the time to go through and ensuring that you're accounting for each of these seemingly simple steps is well worth the effort. And this isn't just applicable to your business. Again, this is about your personal use, your family members, and how you're going about your day-to-day life and using these sorts of measures along the way. Cybersecurity Month is a great time to remind you to strengthen your resilience and think about ways you can help your employees, your family, or yourself to stay safe online and protect your data. Like we have stressed in previous episodes of our tech tips, the human shield is certainly your first line of defense. You can also download a one-page printable poster copy of our 10 tips for cybersecurity safety by visiting our website at www.coopsys.com. And thanks for joining us today, and we hope you'll join us for our next episode of Tech Tips from CoopSys. Take care, everyone.